Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another session of Management Accounting. Today we are going to solve example number 2 of our newly started unit, Labor Variance. In the yesterday's session, we have discussed the introduction, concepts and formula of labor variance and example number 1 as well. Today, example number 2. So let us read the question first and then we'll move towards with the solution. The data about labor employed in a factory to produce 1 unit of product X are as follows. So the standard is given for only single unit, right? So there are 3 types of worker used for the production of the same unit: skilled workers, unskilled workers and semi-skilled workers. Number of hours allowed or taken 10, 16 and 8, and wage rate 3, 1 and 1.5. Interpretation of this can be done as: for production of product X, the skilled workers have worked for 10 hours, unskilled workers have worked for 16 hours and semi-skilled workers have worked for 8 hours to complete a product. The wage rate for skilled workers are rupees 3 per hour, because as they are skilled, so the productivity would be high and number of good units would be at its best. Unskilled worker, the wage rate is 1, and for semi-skilled worker the wage rate is 5. So generally the unskilled workers will be providing the least wage rate, semi-skilled workers would be provided average wage rate, and the highest wage rate to be paid to the skilled worker in general sense, right? So this is the information for producing only 1 unit, right? Then the actual situation is given, in which the actual production is 200 units. So now the actual information is given for the production of 200 units. For the production of 200 units, the skilled workers have worked 1800 hours at rupees 4 per hour. Unskilled workers have worked for 4000 hours at rupees 0.9 per hour, and semi-skilled workers have worked for 1680 hours at rupees 1.5 per hour, right? So the above information is given as the standard for production of a single unit, and these all are the actual situation for the production of 200 units. If you look only this, then forget about these as well, hours and wage rate, right? Now, like what this example is looking, exactly the material variance. Consider these as material A, B and C standard for 1 unit. So this is price per kilogram, this can be quantity in kilogram, and this is price per kilogram, right? Likewise, this can be the quantity and this can be the price per kilogram. The way we have calculated the example for material variance, like the same way we are going to calculate the example of labor variance by using the formula of labor variances. Alright, so format of the example, calculation part, all these things will almost remain the same in both the chapters. What would be different? Only the terms, right? In the material chapter, there would be given raw material or types of material per kilogram and quantity required in kilogram, right? Here, instead of kilograms, hours will be given, and instead of price per kilogram, the wage rates are given, right? So now let us move ahead with the calculation. It is asked calculate labor variances, right? So in case of this, we need to calculate which type of variances that we need to discuss, and that we need to decide which kind of variances we need to find out. So the example courtesy by B.S. Shah Prakashan, Management Accounting 1, Bcom Sem 5. Alright, so moving towards with the solution. The very first variance, labor cost variance. See, the spelling of labor is very debatable, as per the modern English they are writing down LABOR. That is also allowed, and this is also to be done. So starting with the labor cost variance. So let me put the formula of labor cost variance. So that is standard hours into standard rate minus actual hours into actual rate, right? This is the basic formula of LCV. So let us start with skilled workers. I am just writing this down in short. Skilled worker, okay, let me write down full as it is the first example like this. Sorry. Firstly, we need to calculate here in this example standard hours are given just for 1 unit, but the actual production is 200 units. So firstly, we need to find standard hours for producing 200 units, right? So here the production is given just for 1 unit, and we need the standard hours for production of 200 units, right? So for that purpose, let us calculate the standard hours first. See, if I am talking about for skilled workers, unit and hour. For 1 unit, the skilled worker have worked for 10 hours, unskilled 16 and semi-skilled 8. So for 1 unit 10 hours. So for 200 units, how much hours? So that would be 2000 hours, right? Then for unskilled workers have worked for 16 hours to produce 1 unit. So for 200 units, how many hours? That would be 3200 hours, right? And likewise for unskilled workers, semi-skilled workers, units 1 and number of hours worked, they have worked for 8 hours. So for 200 units, how many hours? That would be 1600 hours, right? So here we have calculated standard hours for the production of 200 units, right? Then as we did in our previous chapter, we need to prepare important table here as well, in which I am writing down workers, standard hours, standard rate, actual hours and actual rates, right? So workers, skilled, unskilled and semi-skilled. Number of hours that we have found out right now, 2000, 3200 and 1600. The standard rates are given in the example 3, 1, 1.5. Then actual hours given in the example 1800, 4000 and 1680. The total is 7480. And the actual rates also given in the example 4, then 0.9 and 1.5. Let us make the total of this as well. 6,807,480. As there is no loss in the production, so our important table can be concluded here, right? So now on the basis of all this information, we are now going to calculate the formula, right? The different variances. So let us start again with labor cost variance, right? That is LCV. So formula LCV equals to standard hours into standard rate minus actual hours into actual rate, right? So starting from skilled workers. So standard hours for skilled worker 2000 into standard rate 3 minus actual 1800 into 4, right? So here this will be 6000 minus 7200, right? So the answer will be negative 1200 unfavorable for the skilled workers. Likewise for unskilled workers, standard hours 3200 into 1 minus actual hours 4000 into rate 0.9. So here this will be 3200 minus 4000 into 0.9, 3600. So answer will be 400 negative, right, for unskilled workers. And for semi-skilled workers, last one, standard hours 1600 into standard rate 3 minus actual hours 1680 into actual rate 1.5, right? So here there would be here that is also 1.5. So the answer is 2400 minus 1680 into 1.5, so that is 2520. So the answer will be negative 120. So the final answer is, by adding 3 of them, 1720 unfavorable. So this is the answer of our labor cost variance 1720, right? This is the whole calculation. You can see this very well. For labor cost variance, this is the formula. For the skilled worker, negative 1200, for unskilled worker, negative 400, and for semi-skilled worker, negative 120. By adding 3 of them, we get the answer negative 1720 unfavorable. So this is the final answer of our labor cost variance, negative 1720. Alright, moving further, second, labor wage rate variance, that is LRV. R stands for rate variance, right? So let us take the formula. Labor wage rate variance formula, actual hours into bracket standard rate minus actual rate. Now keeping that important table into mind, we need to place all these things in a formula. So for the skilled worker, the actual hours worked are 1800, standard rate 3 and actual rate 4. So 1800 into negative 1. So the answer is negative 1800, right? For unskilled workers, actual hours worked 4000, standard rate is 1 and actual rate is 0.9. So this will be 4000 into 0.1. So the answer will be positive 400, right? And for semi-skilled workers, the actual hours worked are 1680, standard rate is 1.5 and actual rate is also 1.5. So 1680 into 0, so answer will be 0, right? So my labor wage rate variance will be negative 1800 plus 400, so that will be negative 1400 unfavorable. Alright, so the answer of cost variance was negative 1720 and wage rate variance is negative 1400, right? Next, third one, labor efficiency variance, right? That is LEV. So the formula of LEV will be standard rate into bracket standard hours minus actual hours, right? So starting with skilled worker, again keep the important table in front of you and keep putting the items. Standard rate for skilled worker 3, standard hours for the skilled worker that is 2000 and actual hours for the skilled worker 1800, right? So that will be 3 into positive 200, so the answer will be positive 600, right, for skilled worker. Likewise for unskilled worker, the standard rate is 1, standard hours 3200 and actual hours 4000. So 1 into bracket negative 800, so the answer will be negative 800 for unskilled workers. And for semi-skilled worker, standard rate is 1.5, standard hours 1600 and actual hours 1680. So 1.5 into negative 80, right? So the answer will be negative 120. So by adding 3 of them, that is positive 600, negative 800 and negative 120. So answer will be 200 plus 120, negative 320 unfavorable, right? So this is the answer of labor efficiency variance, right? Clear? Now moving ahead with, as total standard hours 6800 is not equal to total actual hours, right? So that is the difference of labor mix variance. How the mix variance arises? For the standard hours for the skilled worker would be worked as 2000, but actually skilled workers have worked for only 1800 hours, right? So there is the problem regarding this mix variance, right? Mix, so there would be a mix variance also, so that we are going to calculate again. So for finding out, as standard hours, total standard hours is not equal to total actual hours, revised standard hours should be found out, right? like the way we have calculated revised standard mix, right? So the formula will be the same as our revised standard mix. So the formula revised standard hours will be total actual hours into standard hours divided by total standard hours. Alright. So girls, remember one thing very well. Instead of Q, we need to place H, right? So that what was the formula of revised standard mix? Revised standard mix will be total actual quantity into standard quantity upon total standard quantity, right? So in place of quantity, we need to place hours. Alright. So for skilled workers, total standard hours 7480 into standard hours 2000 divided by 6800. So there will be 2200 hours. For unskilled workers, 7480 into 3200 divided by 6800. So that would be 3520 hours. And for semi-skilled, 7480 into 1600 divided by 6800. So that will be 16760 hours. Okay. So these all are our revised standard hours. So now we are going to calculate labor mix variance. Right, that is LMV. So the formula of mix variance is standard rate into bracket revised standard mix minus actual mix, right? Mix or hours, you can write any of them. Okay, so revised standard hours minus actual hours, both of them can be used. So now for skilled workers, standard rate was 3, revised standard hours that we have recently calculated, that is 2200, and actual hours or actual mixed, which is already given in the example, that is 1800. Alright, so 3 into bracket 400. So answer is positive 1200. Alright, for skilled workers. For unskilled workers, standard rate is 1, revised standard hours 3520 minus actual hours 4000. So 1 into bracket negative 480. So answer negative 480, unfavorable. And semi-skilled workers, standard rate 1.5, revised standard hours or revised standard mix 1760 minus actual 1680, 1760 and 1680. So that would be 1.5 positive 80, right? So 1.5 into 80 will be positive 120. So answer of my labor mix variance will be plus 1200 plus 120 minus 480. So that will be positive 840 favorable. So this is the calculation and the answer of my labor mix variance. Alright, you can have a look at it once again. Labor mix variance formula, calculation for skilled workers, unskilled workers and semi-skilled workers, right? So this is your labor mix variance. Alright, now moving further with labor sub-efficiency variance, because there is a difference in standard hours and revised standard hours, right? So that for that we need to calculate labor sub-efficiency variance. So let us place the formula of labor sub-efficiency variance. So this would be the fifth calculation, labor sub-efficiency variance. So formula, labor sub-efficiency variance will be standard rate into bracket revised standard hours minus standard hours minus revised standard hours. Okay. Now moving ahead with the calculation. For skilled, standard rate 3, standard hours 2000 and revised standard hours 2200. So 3 into bracket negative 200. So that will be negative 600 unfavorable. For unskilled, standard rate, that is 1, standard hours 3200 and revised standard hours 3520. So 1 into bracket negative 320. So the answer will be negative 320. For semi-skilled, rate 1.5, 1600 minus 1760. So 1.5 into bracket negative 160. So calculation will be negative 240. So final answer will be 1160 unfavorable, right? This is the calculation of sub-efficiency variance. Fine. So 1160, right? Now reconciliation. Or verification. LCV equals to LRV plus LEV, right? So labor rate variance was 1400, right? And efficiency variance was negative 320. So negative 1400 plus negative 320. So the answer will be 1720. That should be equal to 1720. So see, that is negative 1720 only. So this has been got tallied, right? It means this calculation is correct. Second reconciliation, LEV, that would be LMV plus LSEV. એટલે કે labor efficiency variance will be equal to LMV plus labor sub efficiency variance. So the answer of labor mix variance is positive 840 and sub efficiency variance negative 1160. So 1160 and 840. So again negative 320 unfavorable, which is equal to the answer of our labor efficiency variance, right? So if these two answers get tallied simultaneously, it means this calculation that we made is completely correct, right? So this is the example solving of your example number 2, right? Let me change the focus of the camera and show you the full page so that you can get the idea of the calculation. this is the question that we have discussed, right? The data for product X for the production of only single unit is given, all right? So that is 10, 16 and 8 and wage rate. Then actual situation is given in which the actual production is 200 units and actual hours worked by the workers and wage rate is also given. Calculate different labor variances. So as per the information given in the question, we need to calculate the different variances, right? So basic three variances we should be calculating anytime, that is cost, wage rate and efficiency, right? Then as the total hours are not equal, total standard hours and actual hours are not equal, so we also have to find out labor mix variance and sub efficiency variance. Fine. So then we have calculated this. Here in this example, standard hours are given just for production of 1 unit, but the actual production is 200 units. So firstly we need to find out standard hours for the production of 200 units, right? So that we have calculated. For the production of single unit, the skilled workers have worked for 10 hours. Then for production of 200 units, how many hours they should work? So that is 2000 hours. Likewise for unskilled workers, 3200 hours. And for semi-skilled workers, that is 1600 hours. Alright. So after calculating this, we have prepared the important table that we also used to prepare in our material chapter, right? Then we can start with the calculation of the first variance, that is labor cost variance, and by calculating this we got the answer of labor cost variance, that is negative 1720. Then page number 2, labor wage rate variance, right? The answer is negative 1400. Then labor efficiency variance, negative 320. Then as total standard hours is not equal to total actual hours, we need to calculate revised standard hours, that we have calculated as under. So for the skilled workers, the revised standard hours are 2200, for unskilled worker 3520, and for semi-skilled workers it is 1760. This we are going to use in our next calculation, that is labor mix variance, right? So the answer is positive 840 favorable for labor mix variance. Alright. And then labor sub efficiency variance, that is negative 1160. And then we also have calculated the reconciliation or verification of the same, right? So do write this down in your notebook. Alright. In the next lecture we are going to solve another example like this, so that you can come to know about the calculation, right? Alright. Thank you so much everybody, and have a good day ahead.